Today I'm going to tell you about the 10 players and coaches with the most to prove during preseason camp and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. So before we get into the 10 players and coaches with the most to prove during preseason camp, let's start with there are some spots to be filled because some injuries have already taken their toll even before the summer began, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. There are 5 defensive players who will not play this season, including Starlin Baldwin, Michael Thompson, Chance Sylvie, Prentice McKinney, and Jalen Redmond. One of those guys, at least in Chance Sylvie, was going to play a lot in 2018 before blowing out his Achilles. And it's nothing that anybody wants to see. Kenneth Murray spoke for himself and I think the team when he said, quote, "It's important to encourage them. Seeing guys go down like that, you never want to see guys go down to season-ending injuries. That's something I pray about every day. I pray for health. I pray for my teammates. You never want to see that stuff in this game, even though it's in this game. Seeing that stuff like that, it just makes you want to go harder for them because you know how much work they put in. Those guys are our brothers. To see them on the sideline hurting, you have to go out and go hard for them. Seeing stuff like that really hurts us. We don't want to see it. We have to keep pushing along. The next guy has to step up. So with that in mind, let's talk about the 10 players and coaches who need to step up in preseason camp because they have the most to prove. Starting with Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones is a guy who was originally recruited at athlete, playing wide receiver, then playing safety for Oklahoma before he outgrew the position at 6'2", 230, and he's playing some Sam linebacker. This is a guy I'm really high on. I know a lot of other folks are high on. To find out who's going to replace Caleb Kelly at the Sam linebacker position, it sounds like it's going to be between Ryan Jones and Mark Jackson. I really like Ryan Jones' game. I like the idea of a guy with safety skills who can play linebacker when Mike Stoops wants to go to his 3-4 base. The next guy with a lot to prove is Brendan Bookie Radley Hiles. I say Bookie has a lot to prove if for no other reason than I, like you, am very high on him. He is a 5-star cornerback, the first 5-star defensive back to commit to Oklahoma, and he's going to be playing a position that feels like it was made specifically for him when he came here. We've all been talking about how Mike Stoops needs to play more nickel, myself included. I love the 4-2-5. I want OU to play more 4-2-5, particularly in this pass-happy league we're in. And everything we have heard is that Bookie is going to be that nickel guy. That is going to be his job, his position. And he's going to be a really good gauge of how good this 2018 team is, as well as how good this 2018 class is. The next guy with a lot to prove, I think, is Karikari Daly. Yes, this is a 3-star recruit, but this is a guy who got to sit out last year, learn how to play some more jack, and with Jalen Redmond going down, it sounds like Daly's gonna get an opportunity to fit in at jack. However, with John McElterry making the move over there to see if he can do it, we know that Daly's gonna have some competition to find out if he's the guy to back up Addison Gums, who feels like he's the heir apparent to Obo Oronquo. And Lincoln Riley said as much at Big 12 Media Day, saying, quote, "Gums got a lot of reps this spring. Addison came in so raw, very talented, but very raw. So he's starting to really learn the game. I think he's got a chance to play some more stats for us." I would say Daly is a little bit behind Gums right now. Talented, similar, but just a little bit behind Gums. I'd like to see Karikari Daly make the leap, perhaps get some significant playing time early, and maybe late when games really do matter and it becomes crunch time. The next guy with a lot to prove is quite honestly Kyler Murray, the quarterback. And I say Kyler Murray has more to prove than say Austin Kendall because Kyler Murray is the it guy for this OU team now. Even if he didn't want to be before, being the Texas high school football legend that he is, making the move to Oklahoma so that he could play football and baseball, and then the Oakland Athletics cranked it all to 11 when they drafted Murray number 9 overall in the Major League Baseball draft in June, signing him for the reported slot value of $4.6 million and allowing him to play 1 season of college football. I say Kyler Murray has a lot to prove because he has to vindicate the Oakland Athletics for letting him play college football and the OU football program who invested time and energy into him to get this 1 season out of him. This 1 good season out of him. And I'm sure that Kyler Murray wants to show everybody what kind of quarterback he is in the last season for which he will play football probably ever. The next guy with a lot to prove has to be OU assistant Shane Beamer. Beamer was brought to Oklahoma from Georgia, not just because he's an outstanding recruiter, not just because he can coach the H-backs and tight ends, but because the special teams has not been very good. Jay Boulware, special teams coach, would be the first one to tell you that, and he was very excited about Shane Beamer coming on staff. Shane Beamer also knows that's one of his primary concerns as an assistant on this team. Telling The Athletic, quote, "I know from talking to Coach Radley he wants to make more plays, more big plays, whether it's blocking kicks, returning kicks, and punts, things like that. The more you can make plays on special teams, the better. That's the thing we want to have, is just a big play mentality and to continue to build on the things that have been done here in the past." I don't expect Shane Beamer to be here for long. This is a guy with head coaching aspirations, and I think he knows one of the best ways to get out of Oklahoma and into a coordinator position job that he wants, or a head coaching job that he wants, is to flip special teams at Oklahoma. Use these guys like CeeDee Lamb, Marquise Brown, Marcellus Sutton, and these big guys we have up front to block some kicks and make some plays in the special teams. The next guy with a lot to prove has to be Caleb Kelly. This is a 5-star linebacker who has been moved around on the defense from Sam to Will because Mike Stoops has finally decided the defense is better when Caleb Kelly is on the field for most of the time. But it's also a guy who was playing a position last year that you could take off the field. And if you're playing a position that can be taken off the field, you're not really that integral to the defense. Otherwise, you'd be on it. And we all know what Caleb Kelly is capable of. He had a miraculous pick last year against Texas Tech. It was fun to watch. You can see he's a great space backer. He's a hybrid safety type for me. And he's becoming more vocal in what he wants the defense to be and how he wants the defense to crush the wills of offenses, to get back to being the kind of Oklahoma defense that the Sooners had been known for at the turn of the century. The next guy with a lot to prove is another linebacker, John Michael Terry. John Michael Terry was going to be the starting middle linebacker until he got hurt last year. Kenneth Murray came in, took that job. Now John Michael Terry is being moved from inside to jack because they're trying to figure out how to get him on the field and trying to get him in a position to where he can contribute on a regular basis. And I think this is all on John Michael Terry now. As a player, find out where you fit, slot in, compete, win a job. We all know what kind of linebacker John Michael Terry can be. I think it's time to see that linebacker in 2018. The next guy with a lot to prove is safety Khalil Horton, as he's quite literally the guy with the most experience at the safety positions. I kind of think it's bonkers that we're talking about Khalil Horton being beaten out for a starting safety position, whether it be free or strong, because he has the most experience of anybody not hurt. I think if Khalil Horton can get his mind right and commit to playing the position for a full year, he could be special. I like Khalil Horton. But Jordan Parker is hungry. Jordan Parker wants to play. So we'll figure out what Khalil Horton is made of in these next weeks of camp. The next guy with a lot to prove is defensive tackle Neville Gallimore. Gallimore has the most ability of anybody playing on the defensive line, from Kenneth Mann to Amani Bledsoe to Q Overton to Ronnie Perkins. He's 330 pounds. He runs a 4.7 40. He can squat your house and power clean your truck. If Big Canada decides to flip the switch in 2018, I believe the entire defense will go right along with him. And the last guy with a lot to prove is defensive coordinator Mike Stoops. Mike got a $30,000 raise and an extension through 2020, in part because he helped put together this top 10 recruiting class for 2018, and he's helping put together a top 5 recruiting class for 2019. However, Mike Stoops has been at the helm for the last 7 years. The defense has flashed signs of being great, particularly in playing Ohio State last year, and Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and getting the double on Tennessee, and mollywopping Auburn. But then there are these inexcusable losses to Iowa State, or giving up 50 points to Georgia. I think this is the year that Mike Stoops needs to figure it out, and figure it out in a big way. Whether you're running the 3-4 base or 4-2-5 base, your defense needs to put the clamps down on an offense 10-yard cushion or not. And if the defense is good, if the defense is great, I will be the first person to salute Mike Stoops. However, if it's not, we all know what I will do too. Alright, that's it for me. Deuces.